when the Eskimos talk about snow, they have over 30 different words for snow, and we just have the one. Sometimes I wish there were 100 words for love, because I think there are many different meanings. I think in the end, when you die, you don't think, I mean, the musician doesn't worry about whether he got the third mix right on the fourth track, but it's the issues about how well you loved and how you were loved, and how those relationships worked. I'm sure those are what's important there. But in your day-to-day life, you forget that very easily, and it's easy to go into work and maybe, I think, 42 years old now, and I have kids. I started quite young. I met my wife when she was 14 and I was 16, and my daughters are now 16 and 18 years old. So I think that being a parent changes your perspective on things. And then, too, I had to divorce 5 years ago, and then another intense relationship. So I've had to look at myself and dig in the dirt a little bit to find out, some of the shit inside me, and understand, what goes wrong. So I think I've learned a lot more about myself in recent years, and so I think there's some of that in this record, and some of fatherhood. So I think it is true that the atmosphere changes, when you're in your 40s than when you're in your 20s. The relationship with a woman has been difficult for me. I mean, many things in my life have been very easy, and there have been some wonderful times for me, both as a partner, as a husband, as a boyfriend, as a lover. I've had some wonderful experiences. But then there's also been old stuff which has come through and made difficulties, and so it's that part of my behavior that I'm trying to look at and change. And I think you can't change a whole lot about your personality, but what you have the possibility to do is understand it, and therefore have more control over it. The new record is called Us. Us as in two people, relationship, and us as in all of us, as in people. The measure of how civilized someone is where he places the dividing line between us and them. While you can put people in the box marked them, you can kick them around a lot more easily than you can when they're in the box marked us. So I think it's useful to try and empty the box marked them and fill up the box marked us. A lot of this record's to do with relationship stuff, in terms of marriage breakup, and then another relationship after that, which also broke up. And I had to look inside myself and find out really what was going on and what was going wrong. I think the digging in the dirt image is very much about layers, something like a dog getting carried away digging in the earth.
Something in me, dark and sticky, all the time is getting strong.
I was trying to get something sort of angry and murderous in a way.
With this feeling, can't go on like this too long. This time you've gone too far. This time you've gone too far. This time you've gone too far. I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you. This time you've gone too far. This time you've gone too far. This time you've gone too far. I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you. Don't talk back. Just drive the car. Shut your mouth. I know what you are. Don't say nothing. Keep your hands on the wheel. Don't turn around. This is for real.
I was working on one project about death row and why we kill, and realized that perhaps by acknowledging and going through the dark side of yourself, that you can actually sort of come to terms with it and accept it and, in a sense, have it neutralized a little bit. I was going crazy in London for a while as we were in a place with paper-thin walls. So I moved out in 1974, and I've been out in this area ever since. I think it's much easier to sing songs here than talk about them. For me, some of the moments improvising when you just got an idea and you're singing free or even playing free, the most exciting. It's very spontaneous and from the gut, really. Whereas, you know, once you engage the brain, it's sort of analyzing, so there are barriers that get in the way.
They had been there from the start.
I wanted to use the biblical image in Blood of Eden because it was the time when man and woman were in one body. And in a sense, you know, maybe in a relationship and making love, that's a struggle, is to get some form of merging of boundaries, of some sort of real powerful union. And there are many obstacles to this. I really like the work of Zadok Ben David, and there's a simplicity and purity to the images and the way he uses figures. It seems very touching and very personal. Steam has been described as hot, wet and wobbly. It's great for me just to have sent out tapes of songs to different artists and get back different pieces of artwork. It's very exciting and quite surprising for me to see the way different people interpret the music. A lot of ideas have been put forward as to why a record may or may not be successful. You know, groove, melody, musical content, performance, but many years ago I realized the key factor in determining the success of a record is the haircut.
Give me steam, and how you feel can make it real. Feel as anything you see. Get alive.
Steam is the most up track on the record, I think. And it's obviously got all these soul references and comes out of the same family that Sledgehammer grew out of. Stax, Atlantic, early years.
When on the side of the track, you know the way back.
this song, the woman is cultured, sophisticated, and knows everything, and the man knows nothing. The only thing he really knows a lot about is this woman.
You get them open, but I know you. Chemistry and how you feel can make it real. Real as any place you'll be. Get on with the dreamer's dream.
I think Daniel is a great producer, and perhaps one of his best qualities is his ear for magic. He knows how to push me, and both musically and lyrically, and perhaps further than I might go on my own.
The wretched desert takes its form, the jackal proud and tight. In search of you, I feel my way through the slowest evening night. Whatever fear remains, I swear it makes no sense. I reach out through the border fence. Come down, come talk to me.
Come Talk to Me grew out of a Senegalese groove, but I'd recorded a long time back with Doudou and Jay Rose, this Senegalese master drummer, and it was a groove that I liked a lot. We chopped up a little bit of it and added some other beats. I tried to introduce quite a lot of textures. I think it's sort of more of a journey than some of the other tracks, and starting off with these bagpipes. There was something quite sort of gutsy and primal about the sound of pipes. I feel that by looking in the darkness and by sort of diving into it, that there is some light at the other end of it, which otherwise, if you bury, it gets suppressed. So I think there's some, it feels quite hopeful to me, quite positive. In Come Talk to Me, there's a sort of block in communication. And in fact, there was initially with one of my daughters, and sort of got me going in that lyric anyway.
This all is so unreal. Can't you show me how you feel now? Come on, come talk to me. Come talk to me. Come talk to me.
In some ways, Secret World grows out of another love song. It's about things also, and the way they sort of decorate moods and relationships. It's the same way that music works sometimes, that or smell. You know, you just walk into a place and it'll have a particular scent, or be a particular song playing that'll plug you straight back into somewhere emotional. I hadn't thought that my work was becoming more spiritual, but as I look at it now, and I think in a desire for the water to wash over me, in a sense as the cleansing and purification, and that is a sort of spiritual yearning, I think. Some years ago I had these lines, like to be liked, need to be needed, want to be wanted, and love to be loved. And that's really the lyric that this Love to Be Loved grew out of this time. I mean, it was sort of put onto a two-person relationship. There was an instrument that I played there a little wildly, which was given to me by this Madagascar musician called Ross, who we worked with on the recording week. And it's a fantastic sounding thing. Basically, it's a big chunk of bamboo, and it has bicycle brake wires going up the side of it, which surround it. And you can play it, I mean, Ross is a master of it, and he plays it like a harp. And it's a very beautiful, sweet sounding thing. With Only Us, I think it was using the us as a more general word, as us as a species, as people. It's got, I think, some of my favorite sounds and textures and guests, you know, with some wonderful elements with Shankar's violin playing, which is always very sort of moody and emotional. For me, there's Ayub Ogada, who's Kenyan singer, who's based in London, and he has this very sort of sweet, soft, and quite rhythmic way of singing, which you hear in the beginning and the end of the song. The last time I was touring America, the guitarist, David Rhodes, insisted that I went to see this chapel in Texas, which Rothko had done. And it was full of black paintings, and 14 black paintings there. And I went there, and it was one of the most spiritual places I've ever been. It's a very powerful experience, and the whole place, as I discovered sort of afterwards, is dedicated to sort of human rights, civil rights, and has sort of links with Martin Luther King and Gandhi. I was reading a book called The Uses of Enchantment, and it was looking at a lot of fairy stories, more from a psychological point of view. And I found it very fascinating through the fairy story of the princess learning to love the frog, getting to accept the frog, and then finding, through accepting it and loving it, the prince would emerge out of it, was actually a very good sort of analogy for an introduction to sexuality. So beneath the fairy story of Kiss That Frog is the sexual underbelly. The Real World Experience Park is an idea that's been cooking for probably about 10 years, and Brian Eno and Laurie Anderson have been working on it now a couple of years with me, and we now have a place which has been offered to us in Spain, in Barcelona, where we might be able to create a beautiful landscape in which was set these various experiences, which teams of artists, architects, psychologists, filmmakers, musicians are now looking at ideas in terms of designing them. I think the tour we did for Amnesty to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Declaration of Human Rights took us to all these countries around the world, in Africa, India, Central, South America. And it was just the most sort of fantastic experience for me as a person and as a musician. Last year, we started a program called Witness with the Reebok Foundation, which is a human rights foundation, to supply primarily video cameras to human rights activists all around the world. It's very hard when you have a piece of video and it gets on the news to say it didn't happen. The Passion record, which is very important for me, because I had the opportunity there to work with some really emotional and spiritual singers and players.
many of whom I'd come across through WOMAD and Real World Records. In the recording week, we wanted to try hijacking all the artists from the WOMAD festivals and bringing in some invited guests. We had different producers involved working on 6 different rooms. We had poets writing lyrics, and for about 16 hours every day, we had this fantastic feeling of exploration and people really feeling each other out. Between 1980 and 1982, I spent quite a lot of time getting WOMAD up and rolling, but I've not really been involved with the organization since the first one, except as an advisor. But they do like me to come along from time to time and get involved. And this year's 10th birthday, I've been doing some emceeing. Part of what I love about the experience of being with all these musicians from many countries is that you all the time learn more about yourself, learn more about how to be with someone else, and how to be with the people of the world. And in many ways, those are the subjects of this album. Us is one of us, 2 of us, and all of us.
At Prince's newly opened Glam Slam Club in Los Angeles last weekend. The show was a taster of things to come from his forthcoming world tour with European dates this summer. We caught the softly spoken musician in action and found out what he plans for his first tour in 6 years.
Playing club dates is just the first stage of Peter Gabriel's world tour plans. Stage 2, which begins in Europe, will be a fully staged arena tour. Stage 3 will be the latest incarnation of WOMAD, Gabriel's annual world music festival. It will be the first time WOMAD will visit North America, and Gabriel intends to take it further than that.
I hope we'll be playing some more exotic places too. We're hoping to get to Africa and India, and South America and Central America. The audiences really appreciate it because I think for them they get starved of music that they're into, and it's a great opportunity for them, and so it's a good feedback for us.
For the arena tour, Gabriel says they'll be bringing some elaborate staging, but he isn't going into details.
We have a square stage and a circular stage, and there'll be various surprises that take place between the two. So I think it'll hopefully look and sound a little different.
If his videos are any indication, the staging will be a little different indeed. A separate project of Gabriel's that's in development is a mini theater where the audience sits in chairs that combine mechanical flight simulator technology with music videos. What will it be like?
We're going to make people dance in the seats. The seats will dance, so whether they like it or not, they'll be grooving.
In the meantime, Gabriel and band are working on fixing the last few glitches in their current show.
There's different technical terms. There's sort of idiot-proof, and then the extreme end of the scale is Gabriel-proof.
Cross the river, cross the river, cross the river, I go.
And that's it.
future.
News.
Political problems last week. Peter Gabriel's much-touted peace concert celebrating Arab-Israeli reconciliation was held Saturday in the Israeli port city of Eilat. Gabriel went to the region last week intending to hold the concert in the Red Sea town of Taba, but ran into trouble with Egyptian authorities. And one of the Arab artists reportedly received death threats. Despite it all, Lou Reed and artists from Africa, the Middle East and Britain joined the bill. Here's a look at how the concert came about. Gabriel's equipment rolled towards Taba, but even as it approached the Egyptian border, it became clear the concert was in jeopardy.
We wait here since Sunday with all the equipment, with the staff, and they won't let us in.
As the trucks were stuck at the border, Gabriel did his best to persuade officials to let the concert go ahead.
We're feeling in the dark a little bit, but the impression is that there are some people with considerable influence who maybe are unhappy about the concert.
Despite it all, the concert went ahead in the Israeli port city of Eilat.
Red rain is coming. Red rain. Red rain is pouring down all over me. You got the power to do something.
The other night we went to see Sam's play, doing the things that we want to. It was very physical, it held you to the stage, doing the things that we want to. He's doing the things that he wants to.
It would have been great if we could have had a concert in a place where we could have been together as a group for a common purpose.
I wish it bring peace anyway.
Red rain pouring down over me in the Red Sea over me.